All right, this is a very interesting hand for us today. Faithful Avenger to start off. Our opponent activates the Maxx. It's official. We are now under the Maxx challenge. Now I'm going to show you guys the power of this deck and the capabilities and the diversity. Now, since we're on a Maxx challenger, I'm going to use a different combo than I normally use just so I can still play under the Maxx. Now, Small World's going to activate. That's why I'm kind of using all of my searches before I go off, because I don't want to really search into an Ash Blossom or something like that. There is Revolution milling the Water Enchantress. That's an interesting mill. There is Wandering Griffin push Revolution, getting our first negate on the board, which is our boy Baron Defure here. Now, Baron Defure is really good. Getting him out is going to help us tremendously. Plus the rate of aims here is going to bring us out our good Junk Speeder or bust. That's how this deck works, baby. Now we're going to use Faithful Adventure to protect us from the Ash, because our opponent still hasn't ashed us, which is pretty good. Junk Speeder effect, we're going to summon 1, 2, 4, and 5. Probably the best targets most of the time. Stardust Illumination is going to get triggered as soon as we activate our Stardust Charge Warrior to draw a card. A pretty good draw, especially because we can use Wheel Warrior to normal summon an extra monster this turn. Now, Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon is going to come out, and it looks like our opponent is going to impermanent on summon. Now, this is going to show a huge interaction that isn't very common, but does come up once in a while, where we're going to use Excel to activate its effect to synchro summon Stardust Dragon. Now, Stardust Dragon is going to come out. We're going to use Stardust plus our Stardust Synchron to bring out Crimson Dragon. Royal Rare, baby. That's one of my coolest Royal Rares. Now, Excel is going to bring out Jet in this situation. Now, our Assault's going to trigger from the grave to bring back the Excel. Now, I'm also going to use... looks like my opponent's on Dark Magician. It gets revealed. Now, he is playing a Dark Magician deck. Now, Stardust Illumination, we're going to use that to decrease Excel to the level of 5 or 7 to bring out our Super Samurai Brave Masano. Baron, we're going to pop the Paladin. I would rather leave him with a Dark Magician than a Paladin. Maybe that's a misplay for Dark Magician, but we are good. Now, this is the cool thing about Crimson Dragon. It is a draw phase Archfiend Calamity lock. That's exactly what I'm doing, in fact. We're going to send Crimson back to the extra to bring out our Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. Now, our opponent is officially under the lock, so I'm like, why don't I activate Maxx to make sure that we're guaranteed to get some initiative here? Now, my opponent can activate cards from hand, but cannot activate them on the field. He's going to try to use that illusion to try to get him some card advantage, and I'm going to get rid of it. He's going to try to normal summon that Magician's Rod to get more. He's going to set 5 and pass, leaving himself with a Dragon and a Dark Magician. Now, we're going to use our Baron to recycle into a Griffin. My opponent's going to summon the first fusion of his day, which is going to be 2 spellcasters to equal the Dark Magicians. Now, Archfiend Calamity is going to switch to attack mode just so we can get the max amount of damage. Rite of Azir, as well as Stardust Synchron, because we didn't use Trail last turn. Trail's going to come out. We're going to use these 2 to synchro summon an 8. I feel like the board is perfect for my Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, so that is what I'm going to choose. My opponent knows that is a dangerous card. He's going to use his Solemn Judgment there and now to get rid of that. He's also going to activate by setting a card. Rite of Azir is also going to come out. Now, this is a handy dandy card because it's going to be able to give me to return a card. Now, I notice he activated the Eternal Soul, which is a terrible misplay on his part, just because he really wanted that Magician. But Eternal Soul doesn't have to be destroyed to make all cards return to or be destroyed. And he's trying to fusion summon the Dragon Knight, which only protects from destroying. Now, Eternal Soul is going to activate from his hand, destroying both of his strong Magicians. Next up, we're going to use Wandering Griffin to negate the Dark Magician so he won't get any more Magicians, leaving him with 1 monster. Now, Faithful Adventure is going to activate, getting me an Illegal Knight, guaranteeing my opponent surrender. Playing through that Maxx challenge, 5 card set. Still, nothing he could do about it. All right, this is the opening hand for our first duel of the day. We opened up right, so I'm gonna activate that right away. Playing around in Ash Blossom, Wandering Griffin's also gonna come out, which now has us a negate on board before I activate tuning. Luckily for us, I did this because now tuning is going to be able to get us our revolution, losing our Wandering Griffin, which is unfortunate, but not the biggest end of the world, because luckily for us, I've been playing a new tech for us today. With the Faithful Adventure, I'm going to send my wheel Synchron to add a Legal Knight, another 7 searchable with the Adventure engine, which is insane to me. Now with the Legal Knight in Revolution, we're still going to be able to get that Baron to protect our Speeder Resolution. Revolution Synchron is going to come out being a level 1. Speeder is here to play, ladies and gentlemen. Speeder comes out sending our monsters. We're going to choose to use the Faithful Adventure as another protection of after resolution effects like Ash and Maxx. Jet, Salt, Revolution, and Stardust isn't our normal forward pick. We want to throw our wheel instead of Revolution since we already use Revolution's effects. But Revolution does the same thing. A little bit less than Assault or Wheel, but you know, we're going to make do here. Assault plus Stardust Charge Warrior. After we drew that one card, we're going to go into our favorite combo with the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon to get out the Assault. Now this card lets us trigger our Stardust Illumination. That's why I always go for it first. Now we're going to synchro off into a 10. There is Bestial Dispatcher. Trail's going to come out, and we're going to then use our 8s to go into something, and our opponent is going to choose to surrender there. All right, 5 cards in the hand. This is a pretty good hand. Tuning, we're going to use Wandering Griffin plus tuning to get out another monster. We're going to choose Assault Synchron. Really, I'm hoping here for a good mill. That was really my game plan. Assault Synchron, we're going to use these two to get out a 10 or 9. We're going to show off our brand new 9, the Crocodile. Now, I thought Crocodile was a good mill here, but we're going to use Revolution, and looks like that was a good mill because we milled the Stardust Trail. Meaning I see a 9 to a 5, or a line to a 5 now. Using Junk Speeder and the Stardust Synchron I had in hand, Trail comes out. You guys see the math here, right? Level 1 plus Stardust Trail off of the Stardust Synchron effect. We have our Speeder. We used a lot of effects to get there, but a 5, a 3, and a 1 are still more than we really expected there. Stardust Charge Warrior is going to come out, as well as Revolution plus Wheel, because Wheel can be used as a non-tuner as well to get out our Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. Since we used it, which is pretty good. Wheel's going to reduce leveling to make our 2 monsters a 4. Bringing out our Psy-Frame Lord Omega, and we're going to use our 2 cards to make Bestial Dispatcher. So out of that crazy hand, we still have on our field 2 negates, as well as 2 cards out of my opponent's hand. This deck is a puzzle, and I like to solve it. It is very strong. I do recommend it. Now, with 2 cards in hand, we still have a little bit of issues here. We do have to play our negates very smoothly. I'm going to use Bestial Dispatcher on him not getting a field spell. I feel like that was a threat, and I wanted to make sure I could also take a card out from returning to his hand. Now, I see the level 10, and I get nervous. I'm like, hey, this looks like a perfect card for me to Baron. He's left with 1 monster with level 4, and he surrenders. Just showing the capabilities of neutering a deck where they can't do anything because they have nothing left. All right, this is a weird but interesting opening hand. Faithful Adventure plus tuning. We're going to get our Revolution Synchron. We're going to mill the Maxx. Now, honestly, I regret getting the Revolution Synchron here, but we live and learn here. I see a line, actually. We're going to use our card Rightful Adventure to activate here, getting us a 4. Now, we're going to use Faithful Adventure to get Draco back to hand. There's our Stardust Synchron. Revolution plus that is going to equal our Moonlight, Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Now we're going to use Moonlight's effect, baiting out the Imperm, I guess. He didn't really read that Moonlight doesn't really have any triggers, which is interesting. But nonetheless, still baiting out an effect, which I like to see. Now Revolution's going to come out. I'm really trying to bait out some really good, what's it called? I'm really trying to just bait out good mills. Assault plus Stardust Dragon. We're going to get out a Baron. Not bad. Not bad at all. Baron, pass. Now we have Baron in hand as well as Ash Blossom. We have 2 negates here, and we have a lot of stuff opening up for our next turn. Our opponent's going to surrender. Now that's kind of what a bricked hand looks like. We still ended up with 2 negates, which isn't terrible, but could have been better. Don't want to show off your failures. Alright, this is an interesting hand. We're going to make do with what we got here. Wandering Enchantress to get out the Rightful Adventure. We're going to use Rightful Adventure here to get out our Adventure token as well as the Faithful Adventure. We're going to get the Wandering Griffin to hand, pitching the Converter. Assault Synchron, special Wandering Griffin. This is what we call full combo, ladies and gentlemen. There is our Baron. Baron is here to protect our Revolution Synchron and slash our Junk Speeder to make sure it resolves smoothly and make sure our deck can do what the deck can do. Faithful Adventure to protect ourselves from the Ash Blossom. I was playing on mobile, I think, at this point, so I kind of got my chains mixed up, kind of switched back and forth between the systems. So I was trying to play around the Ash, but it wouldn't let me for some reason. Live and learn. Mobile's weird. Going into our 5+1 Stardust Charge to get us another card. That's a really nice Rightful Adventure for our next turn if it gets that far. We're going to use our normal combo of going into Excel to get our Assault Synchron. Next up, we're going to use Stardust Illumination to then get out Trail for free. There is the Bestial Dispatter. Bestial Dispatter is on the field. We're also going to get tuning because Wheel Synchron's still on the field. And we're also going to use Stardust Trail plus Stardust Synchron to get out our Omega. Now, Omega is the bread and butter of this deck. This is why the deck is so dangerous, for one of my combos at least, where I can take out at least 2 cards out of my opponent's starting hand. Now, he looks like my opponent is on Numeron, a very dangerous deck, but nonetheless, we're going to play through it. Now, I decide to use the Junk Synchron for the starter plays of this turn to use it for my Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend fodder to try to build a turn for my bounce back for the next turn. So 3 negates as well as 1 spell and trap negate. Now my opponent is going to destroy my Faithful Adventure, which kind of sucks. It limits my plays next turn. Should have called by there. I misplayed it. Happens. My opponent's going to activate that. I'm going to Baron the activation of the Numeron Network. I do not want to let his Numeron Network resolve. Now we still have 2 negates left. My opponent also has Rikaki. That's what Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss is there for. Now my opponent is going to get that negated. Now this is funny. He fakes the battle for the Evenly, sets 1, and ends his turn there. He was really trying to threaten that Evenly match even though he didn't have it there. Alright, this is an interesting hand. We're going to make do with what we got here. Wandering Enchantress to get out the Rightful Adventure. We're going to use Rightful Adventure here to get out our Adventure token as well as the Faithful Adventure. We're going to get the Wandering Griffin to hand, pitching the Converter. Assault Synchron, special Wandering Griffin. This is what we call full combo, ladies and gentlemen. There is our Baron. Baron is here to protect our Revolution Synchron and slash our Junk Speeder to make sure it resolves smoothly and make sure our deck can do what the deck can do. Faithful Adventure to protect ourselves from the Ash Blossom. I was playing on mobile, I think, at this point, so I kind of got my chains mixed up, kind of switched back and forth between the systems. So I was trying to play around the Ash, but it wouldn't let me for some reason. Live and learn. Mobile's weird. Going into our 5+1 Stardust Charge to get us another card. That's a really nice Rightful Adventure for our next turn if it gets that far. We're going to use our normal combo of going into Excel to get our Assault Synchron. Next up, we're going to use Stardust Illumination to then get out Trail for free. There is the Bestial Dispatter. Bestial Dispatter is on the field. We're also going to get tuning because Wheel Synchron's still on the field. And we're also going to use Stardust Trail plus Stardust Synchron to get out our Omega. Now Omega is the bread and butter of this deck. This is why the deck is so dangerous, for one of my combos at least, where I can take out at least 2 cards out of my opponent's starting hand. Now he looks like my opponent is on Numeron, a very dangerous deck, but nonetheless, we're going to play through it. Now I decide to use the Junk Synchron for the starter plays of this turn, to use it for my Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend fodder, to try to build a turn for my bounce back for the next turn. So 3 negates as well as 1 spell and trap negate. Now my opponent is going to destroy my Faithful Adventure, which kind of sucks. It limits my plays next turn. Should have called by there. I misplayed it. Happens. My opponent's going to activate that. I'm going to Baron the activation of the Numeron Network. I do not want to let his Numeron Network resolve. Now we still have 2 negates left. My opponent also has Rikaki. That's what Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss is there for. Now my opponent is going to get that negated. Now this is funny. He fakes the battle for the evenly, sets 1, and ends his turn there. He was really trying to threaten that evenly match even though he didn't have it there. Alright guys, this is the final form of Stardust Adventure at this point. There's a few things you can change if you'd like, or not. It's up to you. Jet, Maxia 2, Junk Converter, Assault Synchron. You're playing one of each of the non-emergency Synchrons, but they're still good nonetheless. You're also playing 3 Small World as another Searcher. It's honestly insane the combinations that Small World can get you. With most of the level 4s connecting, let's say you opened up your Stardust Synchron, Reborn Tengu, gets you into a 7, really connects really well. I have no problems with the deck. I also recently got rid of Kashtira Fenrir to add Illegal Knight. Honestly, I felt like it did the same thing for the deck, but honestly was stronger because of the adventure engine. I felt like it was just a better 7 for the situation. Another thing I changed out, I tried Ancient Fairy Dragon. I added Black Rose Moonlight Dragon instead. Another synchro I added was Rock Dragon. This card is insane actually, or it gives you another piece of interaction. Let's say you can't get access to Scarlet, you can go through Stardust to get Crocodile. Now, significant cards include the 2 typical combos of your Psyframe Omega and your Archfiend Calamity. Now, the biggest thing that changed with the build as well, I forgot to mention, Water Enchantress to 2. It makes the consistency of the deck 10 times better. I recently played in our Miracle Cup tournament. I brought this deck and I scored 2nd just because of its overwhelming power of going first. Can it go 2nd? Occasionally. I did win a few going 2nd games to secure dubs faster, but the deck is crazy going first, and I know that. Key changes you can also make. We're not playing Crossout or Imperm. You could throw a Crossout and Imperm instead of 2 Maxxs just to have another diversity target. That's about it. I really don't think there's anything else to change, especially with the new 7 of Illegal Knight, because what it happens where you activate Wandering Griffin Rider to protect some kind of effect, you need another 7 and you have access to the Faithful Adventure. It happens occasionally. It's a crazy card. I do recommend it. Now guys, that is the deck list. If you guys have any questions down below and you have any deck suggestions, let me know. I do have a lot of decks lined up. I just felt like I had to give Stardust Dragon its one last shot because it's my favorite deck of all time on the channel. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. This doesn't mean it's going to be the last one. You'll see this deck very soon or in the future. It's never going to be gone. It's a part of this channel forever. I'm a UCA fan for life. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching.